What's going on, everyone? I'm Heath.
And I'm Jay.
And you're listening to Host of Horrors, show where we discuss and review horror films based off of predetermined themes of the month. Jay!
I'm stressed. This film that we just watched gives me so much stress. And I'm here for it. Okay, so I remember this movie being I don't even know what to say about this movie. I really don't. Like, I remember this movie being more of a meme than anything for the longest time. And then, like, all of a sudden it became a gay icon. Like, this cultural phenomenon of a film of a creature became like a gay icon. And I'm just like, where did this all come from?
It was just a mistake that Netflix did. Like, honestly, because when you watch this film, you're like, there's no subtext whatsoever. Like, you can't even get subtext from it.
There is literally nothing queer about this movie at all. I feel attacked. I feel like I'm bamboozled. I'm not here for it. And my God, this was a movie. This was 90 minutes that I honestly feel existential about it right now. And I'm gonna let you just take the floor for now because I'm Babadook.
So, we are discussing 2014's breakout hit, The Babadook, directed by Jennifer Kent. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I've heard, when I first saw it was in 2014. And I heard nothing of it whatsoever. I was literally bored. A buddy of mine, after partaking in illegal substance, went to Walmart, bored, and I'm looking around and I find IFC presents The Babadook. And I went, oh, this is going to be shitty. Hell yeah. So I bought it, and dude, this movie's so good. So good. Like, not only is it a creepy little horror film to the point where even the director of the 1973 The Exorcist said that this is the most terrifying movie that he has ever watched. It is a creepy little film, but when you really get to the meat and potatoes of this movie, there is so much to talk about.
My God. And is there? Like, because we're in the middle of Female Director Month, I've realized that there's a lot of movies that are directed by women that you can tell has a distinctly feminine touch or a stereotypically feminine touch. This movie has that, but in honestly the same way as A Woman in Black has its own kind of like touches. So I feel like I heavily relate this movie to that because of some of the context.
Mm-hmm.
Except, well, I won't say context. Some more of the underlying themes that shows itself as you watch the film.
Yeah, well,
so it's just like I feel there's a lot. I have a lot of feelings.
Yeah, well, with Woman in Black, you can kind of get where Arthur resents and or blames his son for the death of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Where in this movie, it's almost like the mom hates the fact that her son even exists. Like, if it wasn't for him, Oscar, her husband, would still be here.
And it's just, man, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to piece my thoughts together on this one because there was just so much, and my brain was kind of left rattled by the end of it. There's like, yeah, obviously there's a weird disconnect, a huge disconnect between her and her son, as evidence even in the first freaking 5 minutes of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Talk about a killer opening.
Oh yeah, no, you get the whole story in that opening. I mean, you get it's shown her hovering above her bed, and it's literally her POV. Not like her point of view, but like you're focusing on her while she's reliving the car accident, and she suddenly sinks down back into reality where her son pops in. And she's got to check, make sure all the monsters are gone. There's no monsters in the bed. And she reads to him so he can go to sleep. And then after finally getting done with the book, he is grasping onto her, holding tightly, what kids will do when they love their mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she is just wide-eyed like, oh, dear God, get me out of this. And finally, when he is asleep, she pushes him away. And there's that huge separation between her and Samuel.
And after that, there's the title card, the Babadook. And God, it feels like, okay, I feel like I got very heavy Woman in Black vibes because it kind of gives more of a concept rather than like you have a creature. The creature is there. The Babadook is there. But it's also like what kids, it kind of feels like how kids can also like see supernatural things, or it feels like kids are seeing supernatural things and it's kind of like you don't believe until it's almost too late. And we talked about this in an earlier podcast, and this is about the same exact situation, and it feels like is really coming at play here. And you can tell that she's stressed. Like Amelia, this girl is stressed. Samuel doesn't really know how to cope with anything, and he is very outspoken, almost annoyingly so.
Yeah, they did a really good job of making this kid super fucking annoying. Like, you feel bad for him because you're like, he's just a kid and he just wants his mother's love and she ain't giving it to him. But also you're like, I kind of don't blame her because goddamn, kid, could you please shut up for a minute?
And when it's just like with the context of everything, once you realize it's like, oh, he was basically like born on the day that your father died. And it makes more sense now that like she doesn't really celebrate his birthday because of that.
Well, at least not on the day. Like, she celebrates it a couple of days, if not a week before his actual birthday. Like, he shares a birthday party with his cousin, but he won't actually celebrate the day of his birth.
I would be so mad if I have to share a birthday party that's not even my birthday party with any of my relatives. Like, I can do it, but it's also like, why?
Get your own party.
Right, get your own party. And I'm like, I low-key don't blame the cousin because I'm like, girl, I want my own party, but with my own theme instead of having to share a party with my cousin who nobody loves because he's weird. And I did feel bad, but my God, when she got hurt, I was like,
yeah, that was justice right there.
Like shaking my head, yes, nod. Like, I would do the same stuff. Like, it feels like there are times where like I feel like as a kid I relate to Sam, but as an adult I relate to Amelia, and sometimes Claire, because I'm like, girl, what are you doing? But at the same time, I'm like, girl, I'm stressed. All of this bullshit's happening. I can't get no sleep. I'm going crazy. And then on top of that, you're dealing with like behavioral issues from the kid because of the fact that like he's weird and trying to like. It's almost like he's overprotective because of the fact that he knows that he knows
Well, he doesn't
what's
want to.
going on.
He doesn't
knows
want to lose his
everything.
mom. He's already lost one parent. He doesn't want to lose another. And
I get it.
On
I
Claire, on Claire, I not even kinda, I hate her character. The reason I hate her character is because she's so relatable as far as like people in real life. Because Amelia has depression. Obviously, it's written on her fucking sleeves. She has depression. And for Claire to sit there and say, I don't even like coming over because you're such a downer.
That's crazy.
At first, it was about Samuel. At first, she blamed Samuel for the problems. And then eventually, the truth comes out. And it's like, every time, you're a downer. I hate going over there. For her to say that to someone who has depression, it's fucked up.
Especially, and even, postpartum, it's just, it feels like it is an extreme amount of trauma that she's going through with her literally. It's almost like it's like a life for a life.
Well,
and I feel like that's kind of the concept we've been dealing with. There's a life for a life. One life ends so another one can begin. And God, this does relate a lot to Prevenge.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about last week.
Yeah.
So with Prevenge, it's kind of like the depression of your significant other passing before you even have the child and what that could go through. This is the depression of you have had this child for 7 years and yet you still can't. So the line that from Prevenge where it says the past should stay in the past, I think that line equates to this, but in a darker way. Because Amelia has kept the past locked away in the basement, never to be touched. Samuel can't bring up his father. Samuel can't do anything, look at the stuff. Amelia doesn't even want to talk about Oscar.
She has coped.
She has kept the past in the past for 7 years, and it is eating away at her and causing a rift between her and her son. So that's why I think the ending is so significant, where she has the Babadook, which is the manifestation of her grief, of her depression, of her anguish for her loss. It's a manifestation, and she finally conquers that depression, but it's not gone. It's still there. She still has to face it every single day. But it's no longer locked away. It's now, she does go and face it. She does confront it.
She has a little bit more control.
So it's like...
as a way.
Yeah, so it's like that line, the past should stay in the past. Kind of, but you can't lock that shit away. Because if you do, once it does surface, which it will, it's just going to overwhelm you.
It shows a lot of the more, I guess, systemic things coming from, the depression, all of that. Samuel lashing out, honestly, out of, trying to get his mother's attention and love, and having to a point where he has to he ends up, bringing a weapon to school, I guess, so he can get noticed or something. And
more than likely, because, honestly,
out of protection.
A first grader made a crossbow. Let's think about that for a minute.
And that is one smart ass
yeah,
first grader. He is a genius.
Dangerous, yeah, kind of dangerous. You don't need to be bringing, projectile weaponry to school. But at the same time, dude, if I was a first grader and I made a crossbow that worked, I'd be like, yo, check this out.
And honestly, even though he's 6, and even though he's smart, they're gonna look back at Amelia and be like, "What the fuck are you doing with this?" And obviously, there's been a problem with behavior before, to the point where he basically gets freaking kicked out of his school.
Well, she pulls him out.
Well, they were going to basically kick him out.
No, they wanted
at some
to.
Point.
No. They wanted to monetize him. They wanted to observe him and figure out what's going on with him psychologically. And she's like, "There's nothing wrong with my boy," when obviously there is. She just doesn't want to talk about it. That's Amelia's biggest problem, is when there is an issue, she buries it. She never confronts it.
You know what? That does make that little scene with her in the garden a little bit more prevalent, especially with the way it was directed. It was shot more so. My God.
Yeah.
Like coming from the ground and seeing up in the sky, seeing Amelia like actually happy. And you can tell there's some day at times, even in the way that certain scenes where were color graded and shot, you can tell where she's having darker days and where her days are starting to get brighter. But then it goes back down to the low depression because it comes off as like a little bit on the muted side. The color palettes that were used were very used in a way where you
dark
can tell
blues, grays, just it oozes depression.
And then there are some days like even with Wally's, the little Australian Wally World. I mean, McDonald's, I guess, that you can just tell that you see this a lot from her point of view. You see almost everything from her point of view, and you can it feels like it chronicles her mental health journey through color, through ambiance and color. And it can tell like in the blues and the whites of the house too. You did say the set design was a pretty damn good, and I have to agree because it was that area is like very old, very rustic, very much so in the past without being in the past.
Dude, did you see that refrigerator?
That old ass, like
it had coils on the back. You know that motherfucker still works.
That old circular ass.
I bet it's got R12 in its compressor.
Okay, we get it. You work in appliances.
Man, that shit look cool.
We get it. We have your day job. You work in appliances. You know how refrigerators work. You know the ins and outs of freaking TVs, possibly.
No,
if you wanted to.
And not TVs. It's just appliances.
Oh my God! You probably know how to fix a freaking microwave too, if you wanted to.
Yeah. I never would. Like, no, like a fucking dude, a door handle for a microwave is like $140. You know how much a microwave is? $200. Just buy a microwave.
I mean,
I don't care how good a microwave is, and don't fix that shit. It is not worth spending $150 just for a single little tiny part. Word of advice from your expert appliance guy. If your microwave dies, just fucking buy a new one.
The more you know.
And if your washer and dryer is over 25 years old, fix that bitch.
The more you know. So you're saying that dryers and washers from the 90s are the best?
Yeah, 90s down. Like, even early 2000s down. Like, so... For example, I've worked on an elderly couple, like in their 70s and 80s, came to the shop one day, and they had a dryer whose model number was D1678. Very short model number. It was made in 1972, and it was one of the first appliances, like set appliances that they got. They brought their dryer in to be worked on for the first time ever. Do you know what was wrong with it?
What was wrong with it?
The belt broke.
Oh, that's simple.
Yeah. You know what I've worked on? I've worked on a front load washer that was only a year old. You know what was wrong with it? Bearings. You know how shitty you have to make a washer for the bearings to be one of the first things to go out on it?
Oh, wow. That's very crappy.
Yeah. Yeah, so no, new appliances, you're going to get 3 to 5 years before something happens to it.
And so this is a very roundabout way of saying this is a very old house that they're living in. And the set design makes it so... it's like, it almost feels like a period... It almost feels like a period piece in a way.
Yeah, in a weird way, because even the television is a small little, like... I don't know, like what, 8x10, 10x12, small little box TV.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's a TV that was from at most the late 60s, early 70s.
I would even say 90s, because I remember my TV in the 90s that had the VHS at the bottom. It was itty bitty.
Well, I think those were like especially specialized for like kids TVs, the ones with the VHS put in. Oh my god, I miss my old TV that had the DVD player in it. That was really cool.
You remember those giant box TVs?
Oh god, please don't remind me of that.
Like before we had like flat screens, we had those giant box things.
Hated it. Hated it. Had to move my mom's, had to move my grandfather's before he passed. Nope.
And the picture was always shitty. Like no matter what you did, the picture on that thing was garbage.
Thank God for technology now.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, this is a very roundabout way of saying that she lives in the past, physically and emotionally, and I feel like sometimes mentally too. And you can tell that like there are people who are trying to look out for her, but I think because of her depression, telling her like, probably don't even deserve it. Probably just she's actively fighting against people who are like who have the best interest for her. Mm-hmm. And that's a very active thing about depression. Is like especially when you bury something like that for so long, you start to feel like, oh yeah, no, I don't deserve to be helped because I feel like I'm beyond repair. So I get it.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of ties into what you just said, her toothache that she has throughout the entire film. Rather suffer with the pain than getting it fixed. So I thought that was a little.
So was it? You felt like one of those things was like, I'd rather deal with physical pain because it's less painful than the emotional pain from all of that. And
no. Yeah. I'm what I'm saying is it's like it ties into the themes where she clearly is hurting from her grief, her depression, but instead of asking for help, she just deals with it. It's the same thing. She has this massive toothache that is hurting her throughout the entire film, but she'd rather deal with the pain than the pain of asking someone for help.
Oof. No, I get that part. Man, this movie is so depressing.
Yeah, it really
is. And
it
really is. And it's like the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, oh. Because from all of the grief that she's felt, having to see her son, who is kind of sort of almost the manifestation of that grief at that certain moment of time, as messed up as that sounds, I kind of see why the postpartum depression is there, specifically with Samuel, because every time she looks at Samuel, she sees Oscar. She sees the fact that his life was basically sacrificed in order for Samuel to be born. Therefore, it's like when people say it should have been you, I was like, it hurts because there's a kid. I get it, it's a kid, but it's like, shit, man.
Well,
why would you say that?
She also sees a lot of Oscar in Samuel, from him being so open-minded. Everything that comes to his head, he's going to say it. Everyone says that's just like your father.
Man.
And the moment where he rubs his hand on her cheek, and she kind of has a moment where she's like, oh, that's nice. And he goes to hug her and she's like, holy shit, get away from me. Don't ever do that. And it's like, damn, your son's just trying to embrace you, but you realize that's probably something Oscar did to her to calm her down. So heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. And
you know what's also heartbreaking? What? I literally just thought of this. So you know the end where Oscar, the Babadook takes the form of Oscar, and he's having the conversation with her.
Yeah.
Okay. After the conversation, so the conversation is basically reliving the car accident. And you hear that glass break, and his head gets cut in half. What if that actually happened? Therefore, they couldn't have an open casket service. She never got to see him one last time.
Oh, that's gross. That's even more so depressing.
Yeah. Your last memory of your husband is him rushing you to the hospital, and then boom. Nothing. You're just told he's dead.
Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. And the even worse part about this is all of this is manifesting from a children's book. I want to know where did they get this book from in the first place? That's what I really want to know.
It happens. It just, it happens. You got that news story when right before she gets like the final possession, like the final step to her possession. You get that news story of it already happened once. So maybe it's just a thing. Maybe the Babadook is an evil entity that takes the form of depression, which
and
will
basically
never
gets powered off the grief and all of the negative emotions of that person.
And even in the book, it says the more you deny it, the stronger I get. So the more you bury it, you see?
You're gonna hate me so much for this. You're going to hate me. You know what this reminds me of?
You say Euphoria, I'm gonna slap you.
No. Why would I mention? I like Euphoria, but it's like this has nothing to do with this. I was talking about your top 20 film prize 2018 film that it reminds me so much of that when it comes to the story. And talking about like how there's manifestations of grief that you ultimately have to live with, and you have to live with all of that for the rest of your life, and seeing that manifestation come to life in some kind of fucked up thing. I feel like this movie was probably the basis for it. And also, one of my favorite scenes of this film is the TV sequence. The sequence where it's like you have all of those moments where you have famous moments in like the television history, and then instead of like the person that's supposed to be like the Babadook just appears and is like freaking way just like popping up, and you're just like, oh wow, that is really good to see. It's like, oh my gosh, she's going crazy, especially with the lack of sleep. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, like I would literally go insane. And I think right after that was the story, showed the story about like someone's kid being murdered, and it shows her in the window be like her, and her turning around and seeing like seeing Samuel's dead body.
Oh, dude, that was so
freaked
good.
Me out.
She turns, sees him dead on the couch. She stands up, freaks the fuck out, and then you just hear "Mommy," and you see Samuel freaking the fuck out, and she's like, "What's wrong, Samuel?" Looks over, she's holding a knife. It's like,
were you really about to do this? Like, it. Honestly, for a minute, I thought it was going to be like, oh, the Babadook is a manifestation of like, oh, you've already done this stuff, and I'm just here to reveal it all to you that you already killed the kid. I thought it was going to reveal that Samuel's already dead.
He's been dead this whole time.
Dead this whole time. And
what a twist.
Right? That would have been one hell of a twist. But I'm happy that this film kind of has a more hopeful ending, because it does show like mother and son actually like bonding and actually like having a closer relationship, not like Woman in Black where it's like, oh, they have that closer relationship but they're all dead. Like I thought it was gonna go that route where they was like, oh, they're all gonna be a happy family in heaven.
No, they're a coping family. They're getting better.
And you know what? I feel like stuff like this is also kind of plays out because I don't know why this reminds me of Steven Universe too, in a way where it's like one life is sacrificed and in turn you gain this other life in the form of like your offspring, and you're just like, damn. I'm kind of glad that things are getting better. She didn't lose her job. All she has is kind of a messed up leg for a little bit.
And, she got the stitches out.
I mean, she got the stitches out.
He stabbed the fuck out of her. But, dude, he went hard.
Samuel was... I almost said Samuel's my nigga for real, because like... he really... Like, the fact that he was so adamant about trying to protect his mother that he was willing to do anything, like, that, even though it's almost one-sided, man, this boy is smart.
Yeah.
This boy is not only smart, but very caring.
Stabs her in the leg, shoots her with the little dart, hits her in the head with his little catapult thing. Which, dude, a first grader made all this. Let's just be honest.
And the fact is, like, he knows that's not his mom, but is also like actively trying to like pull it out.
Yeah, like he's not trying to kill her because even after he knocks her out, he just ties her down and is like, "Mom, I'm not gonna leave you." And I was like, "Man, you stronger than me."
This boy,
like I don't care how much I love my mom. If I think she's demon possessed trying to kill me, nope, I'm out. I'm outie.
It's just the fact that his resolve is so strong, and the fact that not only that, but he loves his mom so much, and I feel like he understands. I feel like kids in general, I feel like sometimes understand how occult shit could work more than adults, but it's also because they have their minds way like open to all of this kind of stuff.
Even
and in general, their minds are like whoosh.
Even if you take the occult stuff out of it, like take the Babadook part out of it, I think he realizes more than anyone that his mom is depressed. And I think kids, though they may not know exactly the correct term, they may not know how to express it or what exactly is going on, kids know something is happening. Kids are more aware than we give them credit for.
And I feel like a lot of kids are way more receptive to this stuff. And if you give them tools to, recognize all of these things, I feel like it could possibly lead to a better life, for not only for your kid, but for you.
Yeah.
Because that promotes a deeper understanding. And you know how a lot of our generation and a lot of like generations before and sometimes after us, we don't really know how to break away from that trauma. And this almost if nothing was resolved, this could have led to some generational trauma in a heartbeat.
Oh, no. If it wasn't resolved, everyone would have been dead.
Then when on top of the dead part is like, if they happen to like, stay alive during this whole thing and nothing was really like resolved, that family would have been so like excised from everything that no one would probably give a shit if they did die.
Yeah.
Except for the Mrs. Roach. Oh, poor lady. I love her.
Yeah, she's very nice. Speaking of Mrs. Roach.
Was it Roach or Rhodes? I thought it was
Roach.
Okay, it is Roach. I thought it was Rhodes. I thought I was just pronouncing it wrong.
There's a weird insect motif in this film. Mrs. Roach, the dog is named Bugsy. There's insects that infest the house. She feeds the Babadook worms at the end of the film. The sound design, when there's like quiet moments, you hear crickets, but it's like obnoxiously loud crickets. And even the Babadook, when he first appears climbing on the ceiling, it's like a bug.
I think that's why I was like I was breathing heavily. I think that's part of the stress.
Oh, that was such a good scene.
That was a good scene, but I feel like that was part of the stress.
We're like,
for me,
because you hear the scratching on the door, and she goes, checks on it, and it's just Bugsy. It's just a little puppy. He gets in the bed. She shuts the door, lays down. Everything's fine. You hear that scratching again, but it's louder this time. And when she looks, it stops, and that door opens. And she sees the little Babadook fingies come out of the door. So she, like a little kid, throws the blanket over her head and is like, nope. And you hear, Babadook. And she's like, what the fuck? Looks, sees nothing. But all of a sudden, from camera right, you just see that fucking thing crawling like a bug, just and then he just turns around and jumps at her.
No wonder this movie's so goddamn terrifying.
It's fucking scary.
Like, it preys also on the most common, like, fear of known the man. A fear of bugs. And it's also the fact that you can know that fear of bugs also gets translated in the fact that there's an infestation that doesn't even exist. And the fact that because of the Babadook, there's a whole nother roach infestation that doesn't exist in the car, and it causes her to have to wreck it. And I was like, no, not reliving trauma again. Because I was like, God, not reliving this shit. Not history repeating itself. So I was like, she said, fuck it, I'm driving back and driving away, not dealing with this. I was like, I get it. I get it. Luckily, it wasn't like anything bad. Thank God. It was just a douche in a new car. It just, I was like, man, that I will absolutely hate it if they went that route of trying to just have her relive all her trauma 3 times, because it happens once. Actually, kind of twice, but it's just, oh fuck, man. Honestly, if she could afford it, I really feel like that therapy should have been an option. There should have been therapy there. They should need to talk to somebody, a psychiatrist or something.
Yeah, but it's hard for you as an individual to admit you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think if you really break it down, everyone needs some sort of therapy, but what, like 1 out of 10 people are going to admit it?
And honestly, 1 out of 10 was gonna admit it, but 1 out of probably like 20 of them are actually gonna do it about anything
Yeah.
about it. And you can tell where it feels like, because of the fact that she didn't want to admit that she has a problem, she blamed it all on her son, which just adds on a whole nother level of pressure to her son. Because if it was like, oh yeah, you've been so disobedient, but it's also like mental illness can be masked as, oh, you're being disobedient. And honestly, that kid probably could have had like some form of Asperger's, like some form of autism or some form of like ADHD that probably would have gone unnoticed. Because I'm like, you know what? I did say earlier they're trying to kick her out. At this point, I think they should have stuck with the monitoring. I think they should have stuck with it. Like, after hearing everything that I said earlier, I'm like, she should have stayed in that school. Samuel should have got that psychiatric eval. And then with that, they probably should have got her another psychiatric eval, because that, it connects. Like, if they figure out something was wrong with the son, they can go back to the mother and be like, yo, I think you got something wrong too. So let's like monitor you as well.
Nah.
That would have been sucky, because the way that they did her, I was so like jittery, because the way that they did her, following her, trying to like get a glass of water that moment.
That made me more uncomfortable than the Babadook stuff, honestly. When the people show up about taking him to a different school and seeing he's okay and stuff like that, and he basically is like, I'm actually really exhausted because mom keeps giving me drugs.
And I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna take him away, and it's gonna make things even worse.
And they look at her and it's like, can you get us a glass of water? Yes, of course. And she starts walking away, and they just creepily follow her into the kitchen. Like, no, we need to talk to you away from the child. Like, we need to talk to you.
Yeah, and I felt so uncomfortable, because like they don't know the context of everything. So all they hear is like, you're giving this kid drugs, tranquilizers. You're actively putting him to sleep. And oh God, that part made me so uncomfortable, because I was like, no, they're gonna take him away, and it's just gonna do nothing except make her feel even worse. Oh. I was feeling so bad for her, like I really was. And even though she, you feel bad for her, there's a point where it's like she might actually die. And honestly, I feel like if Samuel killed her, I know he wouldn't, but if he accidentally did, I felt like it would have just triggered so many more things that I feel like I don't even want to think about it. Because if he ends up being the final girl, or in this case, final boy, I don't know. I feel like he wouldn't have been able to handle it. I feel like he would have, like...
Well, obviously not. He's a first grader.
I mean...
He's 6 years old, 7 years old.
7 years old. He was smart. He can handle... Apparently, he can handle a lot. But it's also like, I don't think I would have been able to handle me accidentally killing my own mother.
I was about to say, like, I don't even think most 30-year-olds could handle killing their own mother, let alone a 7-year-old.
I agree. But it's just like, you think about that kind of stuff, and you're just like, it's kind of like a what if. What if he actually damn near went through of actually killing her? Because he already stabbed her. I thought he went for the heart for a second.
I don't think he would have killed her. I think, because, I mean, even at the end where she's choking the life out of him, all he does is caress her and say, it's okay, I love you. He loved his mother that much. Like, she would have killed him before he killed her.
Damn, this kid. It's the fact that this movie made me feel so much for a child, and I was like,
A child
oh
I
my
hated at the
god,
beginning.
it is a total. It's like you see Amelia's journey, but like Samuel's journey just gets amped up because you think it's all his fault, but he's just like trying to. He ends up literally trying to like prevent things from happening, and no one else sees that until it's too late.
Well, I mean, it's before even the Babadook stuff happens. I mean, he climbs up on top of a freaking swing set and goes, "Look, mommy, how high I can climb." And then when she gets onto him, it cries the entire car ride. And I'm just like, Jesus, it is your fault. You climbed up there. Stop crying.
And then
and I just wanted to choke that little Angus Young looking fuck.
And
but
it's
like,
it's also like, damn, man.
It's like after he gets the drugs and starts mellowing out a little bit, I'm a little more acceptable of him. And then that third act, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally with you, brother. I love you. You go, kid. You're awesome.
You think he has ADHD?
Probably.
Because it's like the way you described it, you made it. That sounds almost exactly like ADHD.
But like, I never would. I don't know. I hate because I had a kid in my class that had ADHD, and every time he was on his medicine, it was like he was a fucking zombie. I would never do that to a child whatsoever.
No,
that's like the worst
really
thing
sucks.
ever. And so I hate to say that I found him so annoying that after he was tranquilized, he was better. But dude, you can't tell me him sitting there just screaming for like a minute straight didn't get on your nerves.
No, it did.
Okay.
It really did. I thought he was basically going to be the one possessed. I thought they're going to go on some like hereditary ass shit. I was like, oh god.
But it's not until you get more of the story, more of the subtext and everything that you start feeling for the kid.
And I think that's what Jennifer Kent wanted us to do, is to basically kind of emotionally see the journey from, like, oh yeah, this kid is being probably annoying, to like, you understand him now. And all against the backdrop of a fucking children's book that shouldn't have been there in the first place. And it also goes into the fact that like most people don't even like to believe the woman, and they're gonna think, oh, she's just going crazy and all of that stuff. And so I was hating that it was going to go that route. I'm glad it didn't, and I'm glad that she like said fuck it and left the police station, because they're not gonna believe her, especially with okay, so where's the dark, like,
it was Ash, because she burnt the book.
Oh yeah, that was from when she burnt the book. I honestly thought it was from like, I thought it was like showing how the Babadook is taking over her.
Well, I mean, like, it easily could have been. It's you could take it both ways. I mean, you could take it as a realistic or a metaphoric.
Yeah, I was going more metaphoric, because like I thought she was the only one who saw the ad. Well, I guess other people saw the Ash, but I thought it was more so like, possession just taking hold.
It's also
rather than, the Ash from the book, which I honestly forgot about for a second.
Yeah, well, it's also, she sees the outfit, the Babadook outfit at the police station.
That was
so
crazy.
You can even take that as a message of no matter what she says, they're not going to believe her because the Babadook's controlling them, controlling the narrative. So you can take it that way. There's a lot of things you can get from this movie if you want to, and I really appreciate the fact that Jennifer Kent owns the rights to this movie. So
really,
yeah, and she says there will never be a sequel. Like, she refuses for there to ever be a sequel, and I like that, because even though I kind of want to know more about the lore of the Babadook, because it's kind of just there and then gone. So it's really up to your interpretation, but at the same time, I love that because it allows you to sit here and think and you get your own ideas of what it is. It's very in your face that it is an obvious representation of the darkness of depression, but at the same time, how it came to be, has it been doing this for years? Have there been other victims? Obviously, there was one. Or was that just her imagination and she was seeing the news report from the next day if she actually killed Samuel? You don't fucking know. And I love that.
It honestly kind of goes into a clusterfuck for a minute about the direction the film goes. But I think all of that was intentional. Like, it was intentionally trying to throw you off course so you wouldn't, expect in your mind where the film is trying to go.
Yeah.
But, despite the fact that there's nothing queer about this film, we're still claiming the Babadook as a queer icon. I don't care.
Thank you, Netflix.
Thank you, Netflix, for unintentionally giving us what we deserve. But I can honestly kind of see how, even this is one hell of a reach. Speaking of queer context, even though there's literally none in the film, there could also be the message of, no matter how much you try to deny, especially if you're queer, the stronger the urge to be outwardly queer comes out. It grows stronger. I can see, honestly, for me, I can think about how that can relate to a lot of queer youth, a lot of queer people who aren't really able to come out and be like, hey, I'm queer, kind of that shit. And I think that's where a lot of the queer acceptance of this film is coming from. Dragging it into the queer lexicon of horror is because of that, no matter what, you're going to live with it, so you might as well live in it.
Yeah.
You're going to live with it. Yeah, so you might as well live in it kind of mentality that we kind of have to deal with. That's kind of the unfortunate truth of it all. So
it kind of harkens back to the end of this film where it's, it's not gone, but she confronts it. It's there. It's now a part of, daily life.
And I think that's kind of where a lot of the queer themes could come from. But this is also one of those situations where no matter how not queer it is, you can still have that relation in that way. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Man, I'm trying to figure out. So, would you think that the Babadook is now into the lexicon of horror icons, especially with Jennifer Kent owning the rights to that? See, I like that because that's how you know that's not an American film, because the studio will own all the rights to that, to the Babadook, all across the whole thing of time. If an American studio owned it, I'm glad it was filmed in Australia. That this is a inherently Australian creation.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what it feels like.
And it's another thing I love is you can clearly tell that it is Australian or from another country, but it's not it's not in your face about it, if that makes sense. Because with Prevenge, it was an obvious British film. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, that's an obvious Iranian film. The Wailing's a Korean film. Shutter is a Taiwanese film. All these films, they're obvious where they come from, what country they're, from. This, there's an accent. They drive on the wrong side of the road. Things like that.
It's not the wrong side of the road. It's the other side of the road. They just drive on the other side of the road.
According
side.
to Rich Asshole with the brand new car, that was the wrong side of the road.
My God.
But you see what I mean, though. This is just it's like there's nothing abnormal about it being an Australian film. Even Wolf Creek. Wolf Creek is that's an Australian horror movie. But it feels very, very Australian, very outback.
Mm-hmm.
This just seems honestly, if you filmed it here in America, it wouldn't seem out of place.
No, it kind of gives the same vibe as Funny Games, and once you found out that Michael Haneke prefers the Was it Michael Haneke? I don't think that's the first name. Whatever. We think he prefers like the remake over his original film. I think it was filmed in Germany. I think it just kind of goes to show like how inherently amorphous one place could seem, and I think it kind of gives the same vibe as like a lot of times like where it doesn't inherently feel like it's Australian, but you just kind of know because there's certain things that are different from us and as Americans that give that a foreign feel, but it doesn't really feel foreign.
But that's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, but it feels foreign. It doesn't feel overtly Australian.
Yeah.
So like you could easily sit there and go, well, this could be British, I guess. You know?
It could be European, it could be American. Like I honestly feel like this could have been filmed at any English speaking country.
Yeah, and that's I appreciate that because it's not like it's I don't know. I don't like. I hate to say I don't like films that aren't like overtly this is our country kind of thing, but at the same time, I like the fact that you can take this film and just put it anywhere. Because like The Wailing, you watch The Wailing and you're like, oh well, this would never happen in America. You could take The Babadook and go, oh, this easily could happen to an American family.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think there's the only thing that's inherently the only few things that are inherently Australian is just the accent and the road thing. Everything else, you're right, can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of adds on to is realism, to the realism that this movie actually portrays.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though it also shows like someone's driving into fucking madness, especially due to lack of sleep.
That's realistic.
That
the only
realistic.
thing that's not realistic is the physical manifestation of what's actually eating at her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we never saw the Babadook at all, we could sit there and say, oh, the horror is real life. It's real life trauma.
Real life trauma, and not being able to cope with said, trauma, and basically burying it, and all of like your people. It's like I guess they're tired of dealing with her,
which is so sad.
Which is sad because especially since it's been 7 years, that kind of adds on to how messed up it feels, because you can tell that they do care for her, but it's also like they're tired of her not dealing with her trauma, dealing with her grief, and they've been trying so hard to.
But have they?
Not really, but in their minds, they've tried so hard. They've to put up with the fact that she hasn't dealt with her trauma in the whole entire time.
And that's it, right? And that's it right there. They've tried very hard to put up with it, not actually help her.
And I think they got to a breaking. It's like everything kind of went to a breaking point at the same exact time, and you can tell like the most helpful people, besides Mrs. Roach, was probably people at her job, possibly.
Wasn't he? It was just that one guy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that one
even her
dude.
boss wasn't helpful whatsoever. It was that one dude, which I thought was funny, but at the same time a little messed up when he was so concerned about her son that he was like, "Look, take the rest of the day off. I will cover for you. Okay, just go take care of your son." And instead of doing that, she just has a little me time. I was like, bitch, same, but also, come on.
That was so relatable. And then it was also so relatable, but it's also like, it is kind of messed up how they literally, like, she basically like shirked off all the responsibilities for like an hour or two of me time, get a little bit of ice cream, just for everything to blow up in her face again with Claire, which I was like, I understand Claire in that moment, but I also understand it's like sometimes you just gotta get away, even for like a little minute, man. There's so much about this film that you can take from it, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we're not all the way done. We're not all the way done with this month yet, but it feels like a lot of like women directors can give you more when it comes to not just emotions, but like everything feels a little bit more enhanced. Whenever you have a woman or someone who's who has more feminine feels
I think
at the helm.
I think out of the films that we have seen this month, they're the most that have taken one single emotion and have been able to broaden that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So with A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, it's loneliness and searching for that significant other, that one that can pull you out of that loneliness. That's the central message of that film. It's just pure loneliness. Jennifer's Body is friendship, high school girls' friendship. Revenge and Babadook both deal with grief, but Babadook is more the depression side of it, where I feel like Revenge is the active, you're grieving at this moment.
It's the grieving process, and both of them dealing with motherhood actively. One having to deal with the birth, like having to deal with like, oh, you're dealing this by yourself at birth before you have the baby. And it feels like Revenge is one aspect. It's like the first half of the grieving process. And then the Babadook is the second half of that grieving process, whereas like you haven't really grieved. You've probably or possibly have grieved, but you haven't really dealt with it.
Yeah, it's Revenge is like you're grieving at the moment. Babadook is you've had 7 years to grieve and you still haven't.
Mm-hmm. So the fact that these movies, watching these films together, just makes you feel like there's a whole narrative that could be said with these themes. It kind of makes you wonder about. I wonder what the last film's gonna be like.
Have you not seen American Psycho?
Nope. I've only seen parodies. I've never seen the original.
Okay.
Cause I honestly thought when I heard American Psycho, like the actual name of it, I was like, this sounds like a Captain Bigelow film. Because when it comes to anything that's not quote unquote stereotypically feminine, she's the first person that comes to mind.
Yeah, well,
because it's Captain Bigelow.
We'll get into it next week. There's a lot I can say about American Psycho. A lot. Yeah, I'm not. I just can't.
We're not gonna talk about it.
I can't even give you context or like subtle context. I just can't. There's a lot I can say about American Psycho.
Okay.
Well, and a sneak peek for next week. We'll be watching American Psycho, directed by Mary Harron.
I've never heard of her. I'm excited for this one.
Let's see. She hasn't done a whole lot. Charlie Says. I shot Andy Warhol and
really?
Mm-hmm. And Alice Grace.
Huh. You know what I also noticed? Between all of these filmmakers, like when it comes to them directing movies, they've had less collectively to show rather than the male counterparts that we've explored prior to.
Imagine that.
I mean, it's obvious, and also
it's almost like Hollywood hates women.
I mean, yeah. Hollywood hates anybody who isn't white and a guy, so it makes sense. You know what's also crazy about that? Out of all of the actual films that we've covered, mine is Haunted House Month. It feels like because we've been covering minorities so much that they've collectively had less films than all of the other stuff we've explored before, and that is crazy.
Not with women's horror, simply because again, women have been directing horror since the I want to say the 40s.
Honestly, I think before the sound era, if you want to be real.
So women being behind the camera when it comes to horror, there's just something about it.
It gives. Yeah. I love it. It gives.
Yeah, and there are a lot of female horror fans.
So it's just that's what I find to be really cool about it. So plus this horror, I feel like I've connected it on a different level than the ones from last month. Whereas the ones from last month is oh yeah, I get to celebrate like, how my blackness and horror can be as one. This one is kind of like, huh. Even though I don't necessarily identify as a woman, I still have heavily feminine traits that I can relate to all of this. I may not be a mother, but it's like I can still see all of that. I
Yeah.
can still see all of like those aspects of it, especially seeing from all of my friends who are mothers. Now it's like, oh my god, I see it. It becomes way more apparent when you see it in its more grandiose fashion. I feel like so. Kudos to these past two films for showing that. That like we need more like that,
and such different strokes too. I mean, it really, yeah.
they're painting broad strokes.
They're just two completely different takes on almost the same subject, and it's
And
I
in
don't know.
different parts of it too.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like different it's like different timelines of it, if that makes more sense.
Well, again, it's the current grieving process of, you just lost your spouse and you're pregnant at the moment, to you lost your spouse 7 years ago, and this whole time you've been blaming your son for it. So that, other than that, it's pretty much the same central theme.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's taken in a different approach, and I really appreciate that. I don't know, I liked it a lot.
And I'm just gonna lump A Woman in Black back in too, because it's like it deals with all of that stuff, like not just like motherhood, but like parenthood, and having to deal with the fact that like, oh, you blame your child for your problems.
It's the blaming your child triangle.
No, blaming your child for all your problems kind of triangle, the trifecta. It's here, y'all. If you watch all of them at the same sitting, or watch all three of them, please let us know how you feel about it, because I feel like there's something going on here. There is an ongoing theme that we need to tackle.
That's the Babadook trilogy, right?
The
there.
Babadook trilogy. Oh my god, The Woman in Black is the
Woman in Black's the prequel.
Oh my god. Oh my god. And the Prevenge is the AU.
Yeah. Oh my god. What's your final thoughts?
You know what though? I haven't even thought about how I rate it, but like, I think off of stress alone, like if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna rate it off stress alone. I'm getting 5 out of 5 because of stress.
Hell yeah.
Because this film stressed me the fuck out.
I love this movie. It's got a extremely relatable theme, even though, like, again, I've never been a mother. I've also have never had a child, nor have I ever felt grief of losing a loved one in the same capacity that she felt losing Oscar. But it's relatable in a way where you could easily put yourself in her shoes. Like, even though you've never felt that way, at some point you're more than likely going to or could feel that way. So it's extremely relatable. It's a very important message to get across, because I feel like depression gets taken lightly a lot of times.
Even today.
Even today, I know, there's things like BetterHelp and stuff like that you can go to, and there's a lot more access to things like this. But no, if you do feel any kind of way like that, it's talk to someone, talk to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Really, don't bury that stuff down. It's better to talk about it than to keep it in. So it's a very important message to have in a movie, and it's a creepy little horror film. It really gets under your skin, and I love it. I really do. I don't know. 4.5 for me. It could easily be a 5, but I'm gonna go with a 4.5 right now.
See, I'm surprised, God. I thought you were gonna go with the 5 for 5, and like I said, I'm just rating it off of stress alone.
Yeah.
As a actual film, I don't even know what I'll rate it. I really don't. I think this is one I gotta sleep on, because I just don't know how I would rate it. But You got my 5 out of 5. You get my 5 out of 5 for the month.
For stress. Oh, for stress alone. Oh, so that has been Jennifer Kent's Babadook.
Baby, this thing let me BABASHOOK, honey. So
join us next week where we'll be discussing American Psycho again, directed by Mary Harron.
Please, until then, please just like comment, subscribe, like leave that little bell so you can know when we're putting out episodes and our parking lot reviews.
Check out all our episodes. They're right here on a nice and neat little playlist in our YouTube. You can also check them out wherever you get your podcast fix. We also have all the social medias. Yes, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, and we also have Letterboxd. We also have not TikTok. Okay, I'm going to fix the TikTok part probably sometime soon. But for now, we have basically everything else. I'm not going to be a TikToker. You'll have to just do that. Like I do everything else except for Letterboxd. That reaction was funny. Nah. Wait. Pikachu, shocked face. No, we do a lot to make this podcast like what it is. And I just like it. I like it. Yeah, and we hope we're doing a decent enough job for you to like it as well. So, but until next time, I have been Heath. And I have been Jai. You're listening to Host of Horrors. See you guys.